welcome to episode 36, our big, beautiful episode 36. Welcome to July. This is On Second Thought with Mike and Matt. And Matt, I have realized for a while now, last couple episodes, we have not been introducing each other. And therefore, if we have new listeners, no one knows who Mike is and no one knows who Matt is. So Mike, go ahead and say something.
I'm Mike. Hello, I'm Mike. I'm in Boston.
Thank you, Matthew. Well, yes.
I'm Matt.
Welcome, episode 36, coming to you live on Wednesday, July 2nd. Be in your ears very shortly. It is July. Where has time gone? And it's been hot, and summer has definitely arrived. I know you, last week you were sweltering in the heat dome.
Last 2 weeks it's been brutal.
It has been hot here as well. We had a brief reprieve, but the last couple of days have been in the mid 80s, which is hot for my old ass being outside. Lots of walking, lots of yard work, lots of sweat-induced sessions outside.
I'll tell you what, man, last week when it was so hot out, just walking, doing stuff, riding a motorcycle back and forth to work was just so hot and stifling. The heat was stifling. Like, it was bad. Just walk outside and bam, hit you upside the face, that humidity and heat.
What's that like riding on the bike? Just like riding into an oven?
Absolutely, dude. Especially when you stop. When you stop, it's the worst because there's nothing but heat around you. At least when you're going, it's hot air blowing in your face, But when you stop, there's just oppressive heat that's just right around you.
And you are a safety first rider. Is that correct? I mean, you are not one of those guys that rides in shorts and a t-shirt, even on the hottest days.
Sir.
Even on the hottest days.
You are correct, sir. Yeah. Yeah, right. Dress for the slide, not the ride, is what they say, and that's what I do. I still got my textile jacket on, my long pants, full face helmet. Now I did buy a new helmet. Okay, it's a modular helmet where the whole front end flips up, so I get a little more air that way. But yeah, the jacket, gloves, pants, everything. Oh yeah. And
still no cam built into this new headset, huh? This new.
No, I need to do that again. Those are the times.
Those were the days. Now you're not out there on the bike. You're at the red light. You're not giving the ladies a little show. You're not like airing out the back, giving them letting some of that heat out and showing them a little of that tramp stamp back there.
No, I got my shirt tucked in. Yeah, I got my shirt tucked in where they don't see the shit flopping around. No plumbers crack or nothing like that. I'm sure I look. When these beautiful women pull up next to me, I'm sure I look like a fucking dog in heat just panting out the window when they pull up.
You need to get a tattoo back there that says insert coin.
That's not a bad idea.
And then just casually lift up the shirt while you're behind a bunch of people.
I wonder how that would work at work, Hey, look at my new tattoo.
HR would be all over you.
Oh. In a good way.
What type of coin? We won't dare ask what type of coin wouldn't fit.
With this economy, I'll take any.
It has been a bad day for the economy. We're going to get to the Microsoft news. 9,100 people laid off globally from Microsoft. 4% of their workforce. We'll touch base on that towards the end of the show. Some other things to cover.
Spoiler.
What's that?
I said spoiler.
Spoiler, yes. Or it's not a spoiler, but it's more of a, I think they call that a teaser. Yeah, a teaser.
Teaser. Cliffhanger.
Keep people listening. For
sure.
Yes, the economy, I have mentioned before that I have been unemployed here. And if I can give our listeners any advice out there is to certainly advocate for yourself. I have been busy these last couple of weeks getting the wheels of, I'm not sure of justice or the wheels of diplomacy, democracy, politics moving. I'm not sure what's going on in the state of Massachusetts. we like to kid ourselves that we're a progressive state and, we're above the fray and we got our shit in order. But anytime I have been laid off, I have to fight tooth and nail to get the unemployment benefits, which I pay into, right, on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis with my paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so this week I've been contacting the governor, and I've been contacting my state representative and the state senator. I'm hopeful some things will turn in my favor over the next couple of days or the next week. They have reached out to me and said people are looking at it and it's being expedited and all that type of stuff. But it's just always a good reminder. Don't sit back and idly take things as they come. Advocate for yourself. Because really,
you went like right to the top, right? You went right to like a congressman or senator or something.
No, these are local people. These are not U.S. senators, U.S. Congress. This has nothing to do with the federal government. This all has to
no, but I'm talking about. I mean, like Ohio's got senators and congressmen also, right?
Yeah. So I first started with my state rep. So we have representatives and we have senators in our local government.
Yeah.
So I first started with the state rep. She was feeding me up. I'm on it. Well, first of all, none of the reps, the senators, none of them are reaching out or responding to you. They have people on their staff to handle this. So you're always dealing with their director. Very nice people. I am totally surprised anytime I call the number, someone there answers. You're not put directly into voicemail. They have someone, whether it's an intern or someone answering the phone, which is nice. So yeah, I started with my state rep. Wasn't really satisfied how quickly things were turning around. So then I contacted the governor. I've never been able to get any help at that level, but I do it just to make sure that the governor is aware. And then I contacted my state senator, and the state rep, very similar. They get back to you, tell you what they're doing, and that you should be hearing from someone at the DUA very soon. And, DUA called me eventually, and they gave me the same song and dance. It's being expedited. Can't give you much more info than that. So it's just one of those things where you have to stay on top of it. You have to advocate for yourself. Just like the lady's telling me, like, Mike, I have someone that I've been working with for 5-6 years at the DUA. And I talked to her on Monday, and I said to the woman, if I don't hear back from you on Wednesday, then I'll be calling you back to advocate for my constituents. So I said to this lady, I go, well, I'm going to do the same thing to you. If I don't hear from the DUA by Tuesday, I'm calling you on Wednesday. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, part of me feels bad for these people because when you fill out the forms to contact your local representatives, everything has unemployment in there. I said to these people, I go, this must be a goddamn full-time job for you. And they said, certainly takes up a good percentage of our workday.
Wow. What I expect to see one of these days, Mike, here, and hopefully soon, just so I can explain to the people, what's in Mike's room here. He's got a bunch of pictures and stuff on his back wall and everything, okay, from various video games and so forth. And I don't know if people, and I'm sure Mike, people have seen movies and pictures of politicians and stuff in their offices and that, and there's always pictures behind them with shaking people's hands. I think eventually soon there's going to be pictures on Mike's walls of him standing there shaking someone's, hand, some congressman or government official, or Mike,
More apt to see a picture of me flipping them the bird. a la my Easter photo from many years back.
Classic photo. Oh man!
Tell the listeners about that photo, Matt.
Oh, this was years ago.
When the kids were little.
Kids were little, yeah. I said I mean, this is a long time ago, man. It's like probably when we first met, maybe a little bit. Anyways, Mike and I, of course, we text all the time, and next thing I get a picture from Mike, of his wife and kids. In front of this was your old house.
The old house. I think I think I said something like "Where's Waldo" or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's nice picture. And I think he said, like, well, yeah, where's Waldo? Look closer. So I zoomed in, and here's Mike in the fucking window with the shades kind of, curtains kind of pulled back, giving the middle finger right between like his wife and kid's head.
So vulgar.
Oh, it's a classic photo. It's like, holy shit, you dumb fuck! What the hell?
And I'm trying to remember who took the photo. It must have been my mother-in-law.
So
I think it was like an Easter photo. We must have been going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they were outside dressed up and everything, and Mike's back in the house in the window just flipping the bird.
I think it was the front door window, right? Front door? Like I had a big...
Maybe it was a front door. Front door, I know it was a window. You're going through a window. You could definitely see that. And just great, just classic. Good stuff there.
That used to be my MO back in the day. You picture those big corporate photos that companies like to take. Remember when people used to go to offices all the time? And I worked at this big company, and we had this big building right off the highway. And they just put our logo up on the side of the building. So they wanted to get everybody down in front of the grass and go downstairs and take a photo with the logo. Me and my buddy refused. It was like like during the heat dome. It was like 1,000,000 degrees out there. And I don't know if you can see it in the photo, but I figured out where the logo was. I'm sitting under the logo inside in the top, in the bird.
That's awesome. You see, there you go.
Someday someone can zoom in and they'll see me there.
See that? Yeah.
Let's see. It's been two weeks since we have recorded, because we are a bi-weekly show. And man, I have been out and about, and I've been places and done things. The reason we recorded last 2 Wednesdays ago is because that following day I was driving to Woodstock, New York. Very lovely place in New York. Had a great time. Lots of good restaurants and sightseeing and walking around the downtown area. I had a good time seeing the artist Joe Pug at the old Colony building or performance center or whatever. And the place was from the 1920s. It was so old that when Joe's just a kind of like, he's a folk Americana artist, and when he does these like sort of weekend things, he's just out by himself. He's not with the full band. And so, it's not a big booming sound is what I'm trying to get at. So when he's fucking walking on that stage, playing, you could definitively hear that like cutting through the music. Like that was an old creaky ass stage. And it had that like that patina smell. You can just remember going into those old buildings, like old government buildings.
Yeah.
But it was a very good performance. And like I said, we had a good time. Just the second time in 21 years that I think my wife and I have been away alone. Right? We got married 21 years ago. And I think, and this the last 2 Junes. Last June, we went to Vermont, and then this June we went to New York.
Nice. Very nice.
And it was only just under 3 hours to get there from my house, which is reasonable, I think.
That's pretty good for a weekend trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it's real good. Mm-hmm.
And on the way home, we stopped in one of the bigger towns nearby. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Socrates, New York. I remember back in the day, I can't remember what sort of nonprofit or maybe it was even a for-profit company. I used to watch the Mets or the Yankees. And those are the back in the day on cable television. I used to be able to get the Braves on TBS, the Cubs on WGN, the Mets, I believe, were on ROR, and then the Yankees were on WPIX. You used to be able to get all those things. And then the Red Sox, of course, get them here too. And they were Will Rogers, whatever the fuck Will Rogers is. I don't know what Will Rogers is, but you could send him money or do something, and it was always like Socrates, New York. So anyways, we stopped there. Much more bigger, vibrant downtown area, and we had a lovely sort of brunch on the way home. And then
Nice.
And then was it Saturday? Was it Saturday? No, Sunday. Sunday. Every day is a Saturday when you're unemployed. Days.
Yeah, every day's a day.
Yeah. So Sunday, Sunday night, I took a solo drive 90 minutes west of my house to an area called Shelburne Falls. There really isn't a Shelburne Falls. There's Shelburne and then there's Buckland. And they've merged them together. They're kind of if you sit in the middle of those places, it's Shelburne Falls. And I know that means nothing to you, but it is a very kind of rural area. And then all of a sudden, this downtown area pops up off the highway. And I went to this brewery to see these performers. And right on the Deerfield River. So literally, you're inside the brewery, and you look out the window, and it's like, holy shit, there's water right there. Just the brewery sits above the river. I'll be going back there in a few weeks. And they say by then, the bridge that goes over the Deerfield River, they call it the Bridge of Flowers. And they have all sorts of flowers on the bridge, and you can walk through it and smell them and do whatever you also do with flowers, take pictures or just enjoy the ambiance.
Stop and smell the flowers, Mike. That's what they say.
Yes. So, yeah, I went to that on Sunday night, but that same performer that I went to on Sunday night, I also went on Friday night, the 2 days before, in Cambridge, which is like an hour east of me, into, Cambridge is right outside Boston. It's Cambridge, then Boston.
Right.
I see this great performer. His name is Eric Koskinen. I saw him on Friday. Friday night was just kind of him with the 3-piece, him and 2 other guys. And then Sunday night, he had a guitar player sitting in with him, so they were a 4-piece. So it was a little bit of a different show on the Sunday night. So I was really happy to make sure I went to that Sunday show because it was a different vibe. It was at a brewery, and there was just a community vibe. It was a free show, and they passed a hat, and everybody was filling up the hat with money so the performers would get something, and people were dancing, and yeah, it was a good time.
Nice.
So
that sounds really great, man.
I've been out and about drinking more than I would like, so I've been hitting the pavement hard here with the walking and the exercising to sweat out all those calories. How have you been keeping up with the walking during the heat?
Slow going for me. We went to the Cowiso was at the farm, and there's a trail out by the farm. That Cincinnati Museum Center owns the property and stuff, Cincinnati Conservatory and all that. And I just noticed a sign a couple years ago pointing to this trail. Apparently, it's been there since 1968. And we went on this nice nature trail. It's a very nice trail. It was about 2 miles round trip, up through the woods, up and down, and all this stuff. But it was great, and it was hot. We was pretty sweaty, doing it. But it went well. It was very nice. Walked around the farm a lot. I've been trying to walk around the neighborhood and stuff, and
now,
it's been sweaty.
When you're at the farm, Matt, you need to be doing some Rocky Balboa style exercises here. Like, what are those things you put on the horses, or the cows, that would like till the land, the ponies or whatever? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Get that wood thing around and get some weights and just walk around and show Barb what it's all about, And then, Iran has been on my mind lately. And so when I think of Iran, I think of the Iron Sheik, if you remember WWF wrestling, America Haktui. I forget what those cement, remember those like things, he would pick them up in the air. Just get some, some really short shorts and just start walking around the farm with those. You get all sorts of
I tell you what,
pleasure
I've got some time. I got some time now in the morning. I'll run up to the Walmart, get me a pair of shorts, a size too small.
Yep.
A shirt, a size too small, and I'll see how this works out this weekend.
Yeah, just start doing all sorts of crazy exercises out there. You know what I mean? fill up the wheelbarrow all full of all sorts of stuff and just start running around. What are you doing? I'm getting my steps in.
I'll do like they did the old tough guy contest. I'll put the thing on my mouth with the rope tied to it and pull the tractor out of the barn that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
I can do that. Throw logs around. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll see if that works out for me. Hopefully I won't die doing that. But yeah, I'll give it a try. See what happens.
All right.
Maybe I'll impress somebody.
And of course, if you do this, is paramount to leave your new, shiny, right out of the box, minted Asus ROG Ally X. You have to leave that right. You have to leave that at home. Otherwise, you can be distracted.
Yeah, I think I was going to take it up this weekend with me, but I think you're right now. I think I'd leave that at home, and I do the old exercise thing.
Unless you can get like a headband for it, and then
like a VR thing or something. Yeah.
So do tell. Why did we move off of the Ally to the Ally X? What was the thinking? What was the rationale? What was the trade-in process like? Don't leave out any of the details.
Well, I think it started last podcast when we was talking about the Ally, the Xbox Ally X, and so forth. And we was talking about upgrades and all this stuff. And I thought, well, maybe I upgrade this up, my Ally to the X, get the trade-in value for my Ally, and when the software comes out for it, for the Xbox, whatever, I can put it on there, and it'll be pretty much ready to go, right? I already have it, not waiting on anything. Pretty much almost the same thing.
More importantly, you don't have those fancy grips that you didn't want.
Yeah, that's the ugliest goddamn thing ever, dude. It's so fucking ugly. So yeah, and I thought, well, why not? And some of the games coming out a little more powerful, throw them on there, play better. The battery life, of course, is a lot better on it. So I went ahead and got on one day and said, fuck it. I traded see what, they gave me for the old one. Trade in Best Buy for a new one. It was the process was easy. I'm not sure the kid knew what the hell was going on.
You do it all online, right? You do it ahead of time.
Did it online. Yep, did it ahead of time. Asked, okay, what you got? I got the Ally, the C1 Extreme. What's the condition? Good. Do you have the charging block? Yes. And I was like, okay. It was $160. I probably would have got more if I sold it myself, or maybe even going to a pawn store.
You could have got stabbed too at the police parking lot of doing like a Facebook marketplace sale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I was like, fuck it. So I traded in and got bought the new one. And the process was, once ready to pick up, I had to go in and give them the old one. So gave them the old one, and kids kind of looking at it, and then tries to scan this barcode on it. It's not working. So he types in the serial number, and he looks at it, looks at me, and said $160. I said, yeah. I said, okay. And that was that.
So did you wipe it clean before you brought it there?
Oh yeah, I mean, I wipe. No one, no fingerprints.
No.
That's. Oh no. Yes, I did. Yes, I reset it. Sorry.
Because the reason I asked that, when I went to a retro game store last April, they were very adamant: do not wipe, because that's part of the checking out the device, and while you're there, they check it out and then they wipe it while you're right there in front of you.
He didn't turn it on. He didn't do any of that. He just looked at it and said, okay.
You feel like that would be the experience for everybody, or that just happened to be the guy that was working that day?
I think maybe I got lucky. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I wiped it to the point, and I started back up to the point where I had to sign into like a Microsoft account and all that.
Welcome to Windows or something like that.
Yeah. I was like, all right, this is.
That's what I usually do. That's what I usually do when I have to return like what do I do when I had to return my Not my most recent job that I was laid off of because I never did any personal stuff on that computer. But on the prior laptop, I would have some personal stuff on there because I was there like almost 3 years, right?
Mhm.
I did the same thing. I wiped it all the way clean until it said, what country do you reside in? It brought you to that sort of Windows screen.
Yeah.
So they gave you, so right then and there, was it 160 trade or was it 160 cash? Was it cheaper? Was cash and all?
160 trade. No, there's no option. It's trade in, and you get credit.
So they get, and then so they give you credit in the hand, and then you say, "All right, by the way, I'm here to pick up this." And he went and found that, and then
it was part of the process. So when I bought it, it gave me, all right, here's the price. Here's the price with your trade in. Okay. So when I went in, they charged me the price with the trade in.
Gotcha.
Even though I'm sure they probably should have went to, like, I don't know, Best Buy's warehouse, whatever, and some guy probably would look at it and say, okay, here you go, and then credit the account. But he charged me the
I'm really
price with the trade-in.
I'm curious what they do with these things because you can't go into a Best Buy and buy used product. You can buy open box, but open box doesn't mean no box, does it? Like, you didn't return it with the box? You didn't return it with the box, did you?
No. This will be considered open box.
I always thought open box is like you still get the box, but it's open, like literal, like.
No, open box means it's used. Someone bought it, and whether they didn't want it or something was wrong with it or whatever, you're buying. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I wonder if they send it back to ASUS and they get some sort of credit, and then ASUS does a refurbishing, and then ASUS does something with it.
That's possible. It's possible, or maybe they were going to sell it open box, and you're going to just get a generic brown box, okay, with it packaged in there, whatever, for cheaper.
Did you not have the box?
Oh no, that box has been gone.
Oh, I kept this. I could return them with the box and all the packaging and everything, manuals.
Usually after a few months, all right, I don't need this anymore. I throw it away, get rid of it.
Yeah, I do the same. I do that for consoles, but it's a relatively small box. For some reason I've kept it. Cool. So you have the Ally X. You've got it back set up. So we talked before. The Ally X was going to be the Game Pass Windows machine. And then your Steam Deck is just the games that are on Steam. But we talked the other day, you have, for testing and curiosity purposes, you have gone to the Windows desktop and you have installed Steam on the Ally X. And you're going to play some Steam games this weekend out at the farm offline and see how that goes.
Correct.
Do you have any Windows games on there yet? Have you played any Windows games on there to see how it runs?
Division 2 I played on there. I threw on that Obscura 33 game. Just started it up, but didn't really play anything. And then Baldur's Gate 3. That's pretty much it.
For science and curiosity purposes, we should do a game night one night where we could be on Discord like now, I guess, but
right,
playing like Division and Division 2 on the handhelds and see how it goes.
Well, we did that before with Fallout, I think, where you've been on vacation,
right,
and you've been on your Ally or whatever, and we've played, and it's worked out pretty well.
Now you were on your computer at the time, right? We've never been.
I was on a computer. Yeah. We've never done both Ally versus Ally. Yeah.
Good. Well, you we're going to touch more about the Ally X in a little bit, but you have future-proofed yourself, and we're hopeful here.
I hope so. We'll see.
We're hopeful that Xbox will release the Xbox OS roughly around the same time it comes out for their ROG XBox Ally X.
Correct. Yeah. Hopefully I'm ready for it. Hopefully it should, be good to go.
Okay. We got a lot of news to discuss here, and we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to talk about some games that we've been playing. I don't have too much to discuss and go over. I have still playing Dragon Age, the Veilguard. I'm very, very close to the end. But what I have decided to do is to put a brief pause on it and sort of respec my character. So I've been looking at builds and whatnot, and I think I've been playing the game too vanilla with my build, and I've just been scattered. So I'm going back and going to respec it, and I've got some sites that I've been looking at. So my plan is to beef up my character so I can take on some of this end game shenanigans. What has got me a little disappointed is that, when I play these games, very, very rarely am I following along with the guide, right? I don't know about you, Matt, if you're just playing and let the games happen naturally. But as I was reading up on a character build, I noticed there's a pivotal moment in the game where you can either decide to kill this character or talk your way into their graces. I didn't know that, and hindsight's 2020, but now that I say it out loud, at the time I was like, all right, I killed this person and I still got something for it, so that's going to be good. Supposedly, if you didn't kill this person, they would come and help you during this particular battle that you have. That's a side mission. It's not story. It's a side mission type thing. And it's supposedly one of the harder battles in the game. So now I don't have this person to help me. And I'm frustrated by that, and I don't have the time or energy to go back. I have the time, but I don't have the energy to go back and, look through my save files and say, yeah, do I go ahead and backtrack? So I'm just going to respec my character and hope for the best in this particular battle and go from there.
Exactly what you're talking about there. I tried to do that myself many times playing games where I start, okay, you know what? This is the game where I'm going to start out. I'm just going to play and make decisions how I would, normally would or something like that, But then it gets to the point where I'm either watching a YouTube video or I see something on Reddit or something like that where someone's saying something about the game. And it's like, oh, shit. Maybe I need to pay more attention to what I'm doing or concentrate more on trying to save some guy. And I'm getting less and less in trying to do that. I was very Mass Effect. When I played I was very bad at that, trying to get the perfect game. Instead of playing the game how I wanted to, I was trying to get this perfect game that people are talking about. Yeah, right. Yeah. I was like, fuck, why do I keep chasing this? Yeah, let's play the game how I want to play, and I need to just stop and cut myself away from watching other people play and do things and just do it my way. Baldur's Gate is another one where there's tons of decisions. So
this has become complicated because there is a boss battle. This isn't a spoiler. The game is fucking called Dragon Age. You're fighting a lot of fucking dragons, right? So you're fighting this one fucking dragon, right. And for lack of a better term, the lights go out, the screen goes black, you can see a little bit of the dragon, but the people in your party are rendered useless when this happens. So it's really a one-on-one battle at this point, and you no longer can go to them for aid. And what is supposed to happen is if you didn't kill this other person, their dragon would swoop in and help you when it goes dark. And it doesn't go dark for 10 seconds and then you're done. There must be some strategic hits that you have to do to stop the dragon from doing whatever it's doing to make it dark. And then all the characters, can come back into play. Mm-hmm. So it can really be a couple minutes where it's just you and the dragon and you're just running around trying to prevent yourself from dying. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat this dragon without the other character's dragon, or am I going to have to, I'm hoping the respec does it, makes me more powerful, and then I can just go on with it. But it's leaving a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth that, it's the toughest boss in the game. I'm just a hair short of level 50, and this dragon is 50. So it's a very even battle. But I haven't been able to beat it yet.
So going back to what we were talking about when you first kind of brought this up, so are you looking online to see how to beat it without this character at all? Or are you trying to figure that out, or are you just going to try and go back?
I haven't Googled that yet. I think what I was going to do is I was going to respec my character one time and see how it works out, see if I see a dramatic improvement, and then go from there.
Yeah, I got you.
Other than that, I've been playing a lot of Division 2 with you at night. I think we have definitely finished the Brooklyn DLC. We cleaned up some other quests or missions that you never did before. Like we did the Stronghold at the zoo last night, which I found very enjoyable. And
that was good.
Yeah, we've done some other stuff. So I think we are pretty much done with all the new content. For some reason, there is a new side mission on my map that maybe we can explore. And then everything else tends to be like incursions and raids and dissenting. And I don't know if we're going to touch upon any of that stuff, but it was good to get back into Division 2. That was fun.
Let me ask you a question, because that's one of the games, I've been playing too, obviously, with you and that, and a little offline doing stuff. Maybe it's just me. I don't know if you experience this yourself, but like normally the games that we haven't played in a while, we jump back into. We kind of catch on pretty quick. Like Fallout 76 was a fairly quick reassociation with that game. Destiny, type of thing, where there's not too much going on. But I'm having a hard time with Division 2. Getting back in after we haven't played for a while, just trying to catch up with all the mechanics, all the stuff that's going on, the different game modes and stuff, as far as learning what's going on since we've played last. Are you experiencing that too, or is it just me?
Yeah, there's some stuff game mode wise that I'm not aware of. Like, I understand what a raid is, right? Just intuitively. I don't know what the incursion is and the descendant. And then there's some other things. Hats off to them. They have been supporting this game like Ubisoft generally does for all their games. There's a lot more. If you want to just play at the surface like we do, then you're pretty much done at this point. If you want to take a deeper dive and really grind and get all your gear sets, you can play a lot of this stuff over again on Legendary mode. If you remember back in the day, the map, we experienced this last night, the when you beat the game, there's this other faction called the Black Tusk, and they come in and they move all over the map. And so some stuff that you've already cleared out before turns red. And I'm not sure how often the Black Tusk move around. I want to say it feels like weekly or bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Because there was some stuff that we had to do in order to get that stronghold at the zoo unlocked. But then the Black Tusk moved, and those missions were no longer required to do that zoo thing. So I think they just keep moving them around to keep it fresh for people. And we've never done... We haven't done the Dark Zone? We haven't done that stuff. Yeah. We haven't done that stuff in a long time. I don't even know how many people are in there doing that anymore. If that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that we've always kind of, I don't want to say struggle, but it's always been a...
Well, we had a lot of laughs in the beginning. We tried to play it seriously, and then I would start shooting other people, and then chaos would ensue. I remember
absolutely.
I remember was it one of the betas or whatever, we were playing with RoboPig. I think he wasn't as upset as RoboPig can get at one person, which means not very upset at all. Fucking Mike shooting the guy.
Well, I mean, yeah. When you play a game with you or me, there's going to be shenanigans.
Yes, we are very adept at cutting in front of each other when we are shooting things. I can't tell how many times I'm playing this game, and I got the guy lined up, and then Matt comes. Whoop. Well, I guess I'm shooting Matt too. Thank God there's no friendly fire.
Thank God, yes. Yeah. Oh, we learned that the hard way in Helldivers.
Yeah, and there's a game that's been supported a lot, and we haven't gone back to that.
No, we haven't. We should.
Yeah. So Division 2 has been good, and I don't know. They said there's more coming. I think something with some snow or something like that. So we'll see how that all shakes out.
Yes. The rumor is a survival thing which they did in Division.
Remember we played that one time?
Yeah. We played. We go so far and you got to get around like a fire or something to warm up.
People were really upset that they didn't bring that mode to Division 2. They really liked that. Remember we played that for about an hour or two, and we would have to steal each other's like ammo and stuff like that. It wasn't shared.
Yeah, right.
And we never went back to it after did we die out frostbite or something like that?
I think we did. I think we got frustrated.
Yeah. The only other thing is we've been playing Mario Kart World here at a feverish clip. I think I looked the other day and we just crossed a 50-hour mark. So it's been out since, I don't know what, June 5th. So we've pretty much been playing that nightly. The routine is eat dinner and then play Mario Kart for a little bit.
Everyone's enjoying it?
Yeah, all five of us. Even Lynn is playing it too.
Nice.
Only four can play at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So we swap out, take turns.
Is it going good? To switch to?
Yeah, it is. I have a lot to say about it. I think Los has hit me up. He wants to do a session. He was shooting for Sunday morning. I said, well, you let me know what time and I'll see if Matt's around. So I'm still waiting to hear back from Los if he can do like early in the morning on Sunday.
I'll be back from the farm.
That's what I said. He asked if we were available any early weekend days. And I says, well, Matt will be back from the farm on Saturday night. We could possibly do Sunday morning around 9.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me know if you want to do it then. I haven't heard back from him yet.
Yeah, nice.
So that's all I've really been up to. Anything worthwhile gaming wise that you've been up to?
The Division 2, which, we've already talked about that. Geometry Survivor, when I was at the farm the other weekend. Man, great, it's just a fun, classic, good old arcade game to play. I'm getting better at it, finally. Lasting long. For some reason, I play better on the Steam Deck than I do on the computer.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I've ever played it on the computer.
Yeah, I play better on the Steam Deck. I survive longer. I do better. It's a lot of fun.
Maybe you should take the Steam Deck to bed.
That hit, man. That hit close to home. Here, Barb, play with this. Good God. And then some car mechanic simulator, restoring cars, and that. Sulfur. That Sulfur game. I'd play that on the Steam Deck too, up at the farm.
I didn't get very far with that. I didn't get very far with that.
You didn't?
I have to give that another try. I don't know.
Yeah, you should. It's a slow start. I mean, it's a rogue like game to where you go so far down these like caverns, caves, and then you got to decide, okay, well, if I go further, I'm going to lose half my shit, or do I go ahead and go back to the church and deposit what I have? But then you start over again, right? There's levels in these caves, and you reach the end, and each time you do it, it's different, and different things are there. So, and obviously, I think the goal is to get all the way to the end, or whatever. I think it's an interesting game. It's an interesting story. The characters are pretty cool. The dialogue story is fun to listen to. When I say listen to, reading, because the characters talk like Animal Crossing type stuff. But the dialogue I think is pretty good, clever. It's a simple game for the most part. I say that, but there is a lot of in-depth to it, like as far as like enhancements to guns, enchantments to guns. You have to eat. You have to collect different things and stuff. So there is that aspect to it. And there's some puzzling to it as far as where you can jump and move and do stuff. It's an interesting little game. I enjoyed it. I think I will play some more of that for sure. Again, it plays well on the Steam Deck. So, good weekend game to play. And that's pretty much about my gaming for the week, really. Is mini Division 2 and Car Mechanic Simulator.
Well, really, the big gaming thing that you've been doing is moving things in and out of your Steam cart, because the Steam sale is hot.
Oh, Steam sale, yes.
Steam sale is hot and sweaty right now, and you've been cycling. I'm going to buy these. I might buy these, but you've already given them some money. You've already acquired Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I hear works well on the Steam Deck. Are you going to put that on there? Where are you playing that?
I am. I'm going to put it on the Steam Deck. Yep, I'll put it on there. Assassin's Creed Shadows I bought, and I also bought that Schedule 1 game, which is that drug dealing game or whatever. It's getting a lot of hype here the past couple months. So I'm going to give that a try.
That's co-op,
See
right?
See what that's like. If it is, we should hop in and see what the hell it's about.
And I think the first mission is free. I see on Steam.
Really? Yeah, I think there is like a trial demo type of thing going on. Yeah.
I thought it was. I thought I looked at it and it was co-op. I could be wrong, but I thought it was.
No, I hope it is. Yeah, that'd be awesome. There's some pretty good deals on the Steam sale going on, different games and stuff. I suggest people check it out. Get to what, the 10th, July 10th?
Yeah, July 10th. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some DLC for Power Wash Simulator. I bought, for $4 or something like that. Worth it. That's another game that's nice and comfort game, as I call them.
This is the game you bought, right?
Yep, that's it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Schedule one.
Yes, sir.
Schedule I or Schedule 1?
Schedule. I don't know. I thought it was Schedule 1. Maybe it's Schedule I. I don't know.
It says the tags on it say simulation, co-op, crime, multiplayer.
That's right up our alley. We do crime. We do multiplayer.
Right. Yeah, it is in early access, and it's $13.99.
It is early access.
$13.99 right now.
Yep.
Look, 5 friends already own this fucking game. Yes.
Look at that. FOMO, Mike.
I got to get the DUA's got to hit me up so I can make some of these purchases. You know what I'm saying?
Well, next time you call your congressperson, tell them, hey, I got to buy this game or I'm a drug dealer. I got to learn how to make money. See where that goes.
I did rip them a new ass. Well, as politely as you can, rip them a new asshole. I was very very dissatisfied that the frontline support was. So the guy who called me today, George. I said, George, I can very clearly tell that you're a Massachusetts resident. He laughs and goes, yeah. I go, but George, the other people I've been talking to, when I call, not Massachusetts residents. And I go, when you're dealing with someone who's unemployed in the state of Massachusetts, who's been doing software support for 20 plus years, I'm not saying, George, that I want to take the phone call at the Department of Unemployment Assistance, but maybe I could be doing other things there to help the support process. I go, it's very disheartening when you're talking to people that aren't Massachusetts residents. Essentially, our government has outsourced this to some other state because it's just cheaper. And there's some call center there that they just look at their prompt and go, yep, this calls for Department of Unemployment, Massachusetts. This one's Department of Employment for Ohio or whatever,
Yep.
Not that George could do anything about it, but George certainly heard about it.
Poor George.
All right, let's get into some news. Like I said, we're going to cover the Microsoft stuff last. So the first thing here, which I think, the Switch 2, I think let me back up for a quick second. You have your Ally X, and when you had your other Ally and you have your Steam Deck, you do have some accessories on these devices, whether you bought docks, whether you've bought condoms to go around the things, you are a guy that you buy some accessories to make the experience better for you.
Correct.
Okay. So this news story here is Nintendo has intentionally broken the Switch 2's compatibility with third-party docks, glasses, and other video output devices by locking down its UBC video output. Okay, so I'll get into that in a minute, but how does that hit you initially, Matt?
I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to say depressing, but I can understand what they're doing. They want to lock in everything, control. But I mean, remember, Mike, back in the day when Nintendo came out, you could buy all types of different controllers and the arcade stick and all that stuff.
Well,
Game Genie.
Well, the Switch, I have, the Switch itself right now, Switch 2, you can still use third-party controllers. They have Bluetooth on the Switch 2. But even the Switch 1, I could go and buy other docks. Like I'm not in the market right now to have a second Switch 2. I think that's a little bit of overkill, and I will explain that more if we ever do a Switch 2 show. But I would be willing to buy another dock so I can have it docked down here and then just bring the device to and from. Someone's upstairs watching a show. I don't have access to the TV, and then just bring it down here. But you can't buy a third party, so I'm locked into spending $120 with Nintendo to buy their dock. Okay, so if you've been wondering why, in this article here that I'm reading from The Verge, if you've been wondering why there are basically no portable Switch 2 docks in the market, this is the reason. Nintendo has locked down. So even how would you pronounce that? JSOX,
whatever.
Yeah. The company that has, I have plenty of their docks for the Steam Deck, right?
Yep.
They have told The Verge that it has paused its plan to build a Switch 2 dock because of Nintendo's actions. It's not simply because the Switch 2 now requires more voltage, as was previously reported. It's that Nintendo has made things even more difficult this generation. So, in their reporting there, they have determined that Nintendo has intentionally broken the Switch 2's compatibility with those devices using a new encryption scheme and some form of dedicated encryption chip, two accessory manufacturers have told The Verge. Okay, so if anybody's been wondering, hey, I'm looking for a cheaper alternative. I don't want to really drop $120 with Nintendo. I got something more around $50 to $70 is my budget. Well, sorry, you are out of luck at this particular time. And in this article that I will link in the show notes, it shows they have some sort of Nintendo Switch 1 device with a USB-C, and it's not working. And they go into more detail about why.
I understand it, right? You want to control what the market, whatever. Sony's done it for years with their proprietary memory cards that you used to have to buy. The Vita and the PSP, and all that stuff, all the proprietary shit that they had. Well, I mean, even Xbox, with the controllers and stuff.
I feel like, though, Nintendo's going to open themselves up here for some sort of lawsuit, because didn't, Apple just go through the ringer making sure that all their phones worked with the USB-C? Now, you can still charge. The beautiful thing about the Switch 2 now, last generation, it came with this big honking power supply, okay? And this time around, they have a power supply that's more attuned to the Asus or Steam Deck brick, okay? Very small. But unlike the Steam Deck one, it's not wired in. So you could get yourself a longer USB-C cable and charge more. It's more like the, if you buy the Asus aftermarket one, not aftermarket, but the single Asus plug part you can buy for your Ally X. You can just go ahead and buy that, and it's got multiple USB-Cs on it.
Oh, yeah.
This one, though, it just has one USB-C, but it's the same size as the Steam Deck and ROG Ally one. But it's got the female part there, and it's not tethered to the device permanently. So my point is, you could have a plug across the room, and you can get yourself a longer USB-C cable or an extension and still be able to use it. But for whatever reason, in docked mode, you cannot use other USB-C products. They're not selling them right now. So a bit of a bummer, but we'll see what happens if Nintendo eases up on that, or if they, forced to ease up through some sort of litigation. Apple had to bend the knee, and they don't have the lightning cable anymore. It's all USB-C on their phones.
Well, that was Europe thing. I mean, Europe did that. They told, and why they told Apple to change theirs and not everyone else to change theirs to lightning or something like that, or why that was an issue. I'm not sure.
So Apple said, fuck it, we're not going through this in the US, and now all their phones now are USB-C. New phones.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it. It's better for the consumer, right? You don't have 20 different chargers, cables and shit. It'd be like at your house, your plugs when you plug in your room. If you had, this builder, it's got this type of plug. This builder's got this type of plug. You get some of this stuff has to be universal, but something like that, I don't get it. I don't understand. Maybe.
Now tell me, Matt. Look me in the eye and tell me the truth. Do you cross-pollinate your Steam Deck and Asus power supply? Because they're both USB-C. If you already have your Asus brick plugged in and you need to charge your Steam Deck, are you using the Asus cord?
No, I use the Steam Deck one. I use the Steam Deck because I'm like, okay, well, it came with the Steam Deck, I'll use it. The Asus came with the Asus, I'll use it for that. Yeah, no, if it was just like generic brick, like you get with your phone sometimes, that you can just put USB into that, then okay, whatever. But I use the different chargers for the different things.
Okay. Moving on, Sony's Mark Cerny says the PS5 Pro will get the promised replacement for PSSR, otherwise known as PSSR, upscaling tech next year. The new upscaler is co-developed super resolution algorithm made by Sony and AMD. So some people, I think, have been complaining about the PSSR not working as promised, and it could be better. So Sony earlier this year announced that Sony and AMD have partnered on Project Amethyst, which is focused on delivering a version of FSR4, which is AMD's equivalent of NVIDIA's DLSS tech, to the PlayStation 5 Pro. Cerny went on to say that it's not a cut-down version of the algorithm, it's the full-fat version of the co-developed super resolution that will be releasing on the PS5 Pro sometime in 2026. According to Cerny, the two companies are closer now than they were during the development of the PS5 and the PS5 Pro, and that they push each other to be better companies. And I think, just about we were talking about, Matt, about proprietary technology. Mark Cerny said that this is not for proprietary technology. This is really trying to move the industry forward. Obviously, we want to use these technologies in our consoles, but these technologies are available to any of AMD's customers freely. So I think in some ways, the PS5 Pro is an investment for the future-proof, just like you did with the Ally X. That some games got a nice upscaling bump from PSSR, but I think the real benefit might come next year. And what comes out next year, Matt? And what's the game that's made for consoles first that's coming out next year?
Grand Theft Auto 6.
We have a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is probably Matt's favorite story because he's a mega fan. He's bigger than Jeff Keighley. He's a bigger fan than Jeff Keighley. He really was lying to us all day. He quit his job and he's playing Death Stranding 2 nonstop. He's getting the Death Stranding 2 tattoo next week.
Yes.
Matt is a uber fan of Hideo Kojima. And Matt could be no more thrilled that Kojima has said he wants to be the first developer to make a game in space. And he wants to put himself in a Tom Cruise situation where he risks his life.
The fuck does it even mean?
So speaking at the Sydney Film Festival, Kojima said that he doesn't really want to go into space as part of the burgeoning space tourism industry, but instead wants to spend extended time in orbit. And here's the quote, Matt. I want to train properly, learn how to do the docking, go to the International Space Station, and stay there for a few months. I'm not a scientist, but I could probably make games in space. I want to be the first. There are a lot of astronauts over 60, so I guess it's possible. Then he joked that if he were able to develop a game in space, he would feel less irritated by his bad back. He's a comedian.
Why?
It's Tom Cruise disease, he told the audience. Tom Cruise finds out his worth when living with his life on the line. He wants to do his art when his life is on the line. He's not just satisfied going to the architecture firm at 6:30 in the morning and then coming home and having dinner by 5:36. He wants to put his life on the line and make a game that you will not play.
You're 100% correct there. Yeah, I don't know that I don't understand the fascination with this guy. I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate, whatever, with that. But I mean,
I've never played any of his games. You know, the stealth mechanics of Metal Gear Solid would never look like my cup of tea. I'm hearing Death Stranding 2 is an amazing game, and people are saying in many ways it's the first PS5 game that it's really pushing the system to its full limits, and it is an amazing game to play. My fear is, like, do I need to play the first one to know what the hell's going on in the second one?
I've watched.
I think at this point, my refrigerator and microwave that I just bought last year with my kitchen come with Death Stranding. I think like that game, that game is like packed in just as well as the fucking Elder Scroll game, you know.
Yeah, I've watched videos of the first Death Stranding and streams and that, and it's Norman Reedus walking around some planet with a big fucking package on his back.
He's another guy that does nothing for me.
He's so greasy looking. He's so greasy looking. It just,
I'm not gonna
like,
say
dude, wash your hair. Get a haircut. Wash your hair.
Don't make me.
Carry on. Carry on.
Yep. It is a thing, and I was remember if you can remember back to that time, I really wanted one of those babies. What were those babies called?
Baby, I don't know. I have no fucking idea.
Those pod babies, you know, that was like in the gel, like that was in the back.
There wasn't.
You get that as the collector's edition.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right.
No, I don't understand. I don't understand the games. I don't know. I'm out of the loop on that one. I'm an old man.
I already know the answer. This isn't in the show notes, but I already know the answer to this one. But I feel compelled to ask anyways.
Sure.
Microsoft has released a beta, like an insider build of their PC app that you can already start using it, and it will make a it will ingest all the, like we talked about on the last episode. It will know that you have Death Stranding on Steam, and it will say, like, you go to the videos that I've watched, it will show all your games, you know, GOG, Epic, Steam, and it'll have the little icon. You click into Death Stranding, and there'll be a button that will say "See in Steam" or just play, and then in the background, you know, Steam will have to open up. It won't come up on the screen though; it'll just be open in the background, and then you just go right into the game. There is an insider hub that you can opt into this right now if you like. You waiting for it to be QA'd, even though today I think they got rid of all the QA people, which we're going to get to in a minute.
Too soon. Too soon.
Is this something you're waiting to be in the oven a little bit longer, or something you'd be? Well, people say it's working pretty solid right now. I've watched Tom Warren at The Verge. I've seen Paris from Gamertag Radio post videos on it. So it seems like it's working as intended. Any try it out in your PC before you put it on your Ally X?
Well, I don't know. I got the thing on my PC now. It's a desktop shortcut to a game. I double click on the game, and it just starts for me.
No, but you would see all the games in one view, is what I'm getting at. So
I'm looking at all my games in one view right now, Mike. Here's all my shortcuts right here. All my game shortcuts are right here in the corner of my PC.
I guess what I'm saying is
arranged.
I guess I'm saying is you could clean up that fucking desktop and just go into the Xbox app and look at them there.
So instead of looking at them on my desktop, I go to the Xbox app and look at them.
Then what the hell did you get the Ally X for then? Because that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen when you're in the Ally X the OS software.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, yes, right. But that's different because I'm logging on my computer. Okay. And here's over here on this screen, I've got my production, shortcuts, whatever. Over here, I've got all my games. Up here, I've got my different, Steam, Ubisoft, whatever.
I thought you'd want to try it out before you put it on the Ally X, but I told you I knew the answer before we were going into this.
I'm trying it out now. This is Microsoft Windows, And I'm trying it out now with the shortcuts on my desktop.
You see what I'm working with?
I'm,
All right.
I'm thinking this too simply. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe you can download it and see if you like it or not. All right. Here we go. A bad day, I guess, depending on your perspective. Microsoft has laid off approximately 9,000 employees globally today. The Seattle Times report, Microsoft said that as much as 4%, or roughly 9,100 of the company's employees, could be affected by Wednesday's layoffs. By many reports today that this was a sloppy layoff. People were told that their games were canceled, which we're going to go over in just a minute here. But many of the people were not told if they were losing their employment. They were losing their inter-office communication tool, where you might use Teams at your work, Matt. Many people outside of the Microsoft ecosystem use a product called Slack, and their access to Slack was removed ASAP, but they still had access to email, and at no point in time were they told whether they made the cut or were being cut. So many people were corroborating that throughout the day. So there was maybe Copilot wasn't working, Matt, for them. Maybe Copilot couldn't deliver the message to who was getting laid off or not. Because you would be a fool if you didn't think AI was playing some of this. We're going to cut these people and then have Gen AI take over some of these people's jobs. But anyway,
absolutely.
I digress.
Yeah.
The layoff today represented the fourth time in 18 months that Microsoft Gaming has laid off workers. I'm not going to read their whole statements today from Matt Booty and Phil Spencer. You can go to other gaming places and read all that. The quote I'll give you is, "We continue to implement organizational and workforce changes that are necessary to position the company and teams for success in a dynamic marketplace." If that isn't fucking word salad, I don't know what the hell is. That reads like it was right from ChatGPT. The initiative has been closed. The initiative was working on the Perfect Dark reboot. So that studio has now been closed. Turn 10, which works on the Forza games. Now, the Forza games, Matt, are very, very highly reviewed. Always a 9 or a 10.
Correct.
And they have been gutted today with approximately 70 layoffs, which people report might be 50% of their company has been laid off. And people wonder, are they just a support studio now? Will they be making Forza anymore? All to be determined. Rare has been working on a game called Everwild. Of course, people know Rare from Sea of Thieves, Viva Pinata. And so now Everwild, which I guess has been in some sort of troubled development for a long time, they have officially canceled that game. ZeniMax Online Studios was working on an MMORPG codenamed Blackbird that's been in the works since 2018. That was canceled as well. Now, before we go into our opinions and thoughts, CNBC has this quote: Microsoft reported nearly $26 billion in net income on $70 billion in revenue for the March quarter. The numbers were well ahead of Wall Street's consensus, keeping Microsoft ranked as one of the most profitable companies in the S&P 500 index, according to data compiled by FactSet. Okay. So I think no matter how you slice it, bad day. Xbox is certainly took it on the chin. People are questioning Phil Spencer's leadership. We have a question from the audience here in just a few minutes. We'll go over that. There's many different opinions on how you can look at this, Matt. Did they bite off more than they could chew with the whole Activision Blizzard acquisition? Did the acquisition not work out the way they envisioned? Do they have poor leadership between Matt Booty, Phil Spencer, and Sarah Bond that they don't know how to handle that acquisition? Was that acquisition unchecked and thus not providing the return that they intended? or is this all just part of doing business and a lot of these people's jobs are going to be taken over by AI? And how is that going to impact their games going forward? There's been a big kerfuffle this week about this game called the Alters, I believe, and they use some AI in that, and people have been pissed about it. So how are people going to take AI and Microsoft products? A lot to unpack, but the bottom line is people lost their jobs, and someone who's unemployed right now due to a layoff, I can empathize and with their issues that they're facing. But hear your thoughts.
Well, let's go back to the you talking about this Microsoft meeting targets and so forth. Yes, they are. I believe they are making the investors happy. You just said Microsoft reported nearly $26 billion net income on $7 billion in revenue for the March quarter, and well ahead of Wall Street's consensus, keeping Microsoft ranked as one of the most profitable companies in the S&P 500 index. Unfortunately,
and just to interrupt for a second, Xbox is only a small portion of that, right? Microsoft does a lot of other things besides Xbox.
Correct, but they make money off of Xbox and all that stuff too, right? So unfortunately, they're like any big corporation, any big company, they're trying to keep the investors happy, right? When you invest money into a company, you want dividends, you want returns on that investment. So they're doing that. $26 billion, and that's a hell of a that's a lot of goddamn money, right? How much is too much? That's the age-old question. The rich keep getting richer, the poor keep getting poorer. It's extremely unfortunate that all this is going on, because I know a lot of people put their time and effort and heart into some of these games are being canceled. That sucks for sure. Seeing all their work just show no fruition at all.
Flushed.
I don't know.
Flushed down the toilet.
Yeah. I don't know where these games sat as far as in production line as being ready to go. But still, it's unfortunate. It happened to me with projects at work where we're working our ass off to get drawings out and doing stuff, and just for something to get canceled or not happen it's depressing. It's like, oh man, we spent all this time on this and nothing to show for it. It's unfortunate. I don't know what Microsoft's doing. They bought all these companies up. They did all this stuff. Where's the products at? Where's the games that they've said that's going to be coming? Where is everything?
We've seen some stuff come out. Certainly South of Midnight and Avowed, Claire Obscura. And even though that's multi-platform, but it came out on Game Pass. You're seeing stuff come out. Stalker 2. So there's been some Indiana Jones. Doom just came out. So they've had the games, but
have they had the quality games?
Have they had the quality games that last? What no one has had. PlayStation hasn't had it either. No one's been able to tap into the Fortnite, the Destiny, the Roblox. Those GTA. Those are what everybody's chasing, and that's what people are. A lot of time, these Phil Spencers of the world are deeming as successful, and if the shit is not to that type of success, then shit hits the cutting room floor. I want to read Al's question, which might drive some more of the conversation. So RetroRentsAL wrote to us and said, "At what point does Phil Spencer go? His latest idea to push is the ROG XBox. It's basically a skinned ROG Ally. The dude has not been successful by any measure. How is he still around? What are your gentlemen's thoughts on this?" Well, I think Matt touched upon some of it. I think the investors probably feel that he's been pretty successful. I think what a lot of people will say, Game Pass had a tremendous uptick, but it's flatlined, right? And they believe now there's somewhere between 34 million to 35 million subscribers to Game Pass. What level are these people? What tier are these people at? Is anybody's guess. You can have the very low tier, you can have the very ultimate high tier. The wide variety of that sits through there. I think where people can really look at Phil Spencer's tenure is the hardware, right? They've been in third place ever since the 360 era, and this probably goes back to Don Matrix damage that has never been able to be undone. With the 360, even though the 360 at the end of the day was in third place too, it sold less than the PS3 and sold less than the Wii. But the 360 is looked at as sort of the golden era of Xbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Many people think of the Xbox One as a flop. The Xbox One X was an auto correction of that, even though Xbox One X was them correcting the mistakes they did with the One. And the Xbox Series X and Series S were putting them on a right path. And for whatever reason, those two systems have not sold nearly as well as the PlayStation and Nintendo's offering. So I think that is fair criticism. At Phil, maybe, those things are the best technological devices you could have, but they just didn't have the market share for whatever reason. And so Xbox is clearly pivoting now. And they don't care where you buy their games, man. They don't care if you get a PlayStation 5 and you buy all the fucking Microsoft games there. They don't care if you get the PC, the new supercomputer, and buy all their stuff there. They are very slowly turning into a third-party publisher. And I want to read you some quotes from a couple people that...
If I could just pause here for a minute.
Yep.
Going back, the Xbox One, I think that was their downfall there. I think they lost touch with the gaming community there. That was the whole Xbox One and PS4 came out. And when the PS4 came out, big cheers and hurrahs with the sharing of games and pricing and offline gaming and all that stuff. It was a gaming machine, whereas the Xbox One was touted, trying to be everything, and I think that's where they fucked up and things started going downhill with that. They lost touch with the gamer community.
So I got some quotes here. I don't disagree with that. I think packing in the no one was fucking asking for that motion. What was that thing called again? The Kinect. And they forced that on people, and they came in $100 higher because of the Kinect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this person here, Laura Fryer, she's one of the original.
I know her well.
She's one of the original team members developing the Xbox console. Now, admittedly, she has her own YouTube channel. She's got her own audience that she's trying to procure and carve out a little name for herself. Okay. She says, obviously, as one of the founding members of the Xbox team, I'm not pleased with where things are where they are today. I don't love watching all the value that I helped create slowly get eroded away. I'm sad because, from my perspective, it looks like Xbox has no desire or literally can't ship hardware anymore. So this partnership, talking about Asus, is about a slow exit from the hardware business completely. Personally, I think Xbox hardware is dead. Okay. Now, if you remember this other person, Mike Ibarra, he worked, he was, I think he was maybe somewhat in Matt Booty's place beforehand, and then he went on to head up Blizzard. And then with the whole acquisition, they basically sent him packing. So he's former Xbox Live and Game Pass vice president. He says they have to figure out, they as an Xbox, have to figure out what needs to change and fast. I'm a big fan and will always bleed green. But pick your lane and stick to it. It's simple to me. Xbox should strive to be the world's largest publisher of entertainment content. Get rid of everything else and get focused. Do not be afraid to say what you are. Embrace the lane. Straddling the fence is not a winning plan. So he's saying, Matt, double down on it. If you're getting rid of the hardware, get rid of it and tell people what you are. We don't care where you play. They'll come to us as Game Pass. We're going to put out these games.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're going to have to focus on publishing, right? They bought all these studios and everything. They need to get the games out there. I think the console things. I think the Xbox Anywhere type thing, is what's going to I guess, help with that, right? With, you know, the Xbox OS and all that stuff. Make anything to an Xbox type of thing, where you're going to, people subscribe to the Game Pass stuff, download the software. I'm sure that eventually the software, the Xbox OS, whatever, will be riddled with ads. Just like when you turn on, bloat and all that. Right. Just like you turn on your Xbox now, there's ads for shit, for games and what have you.
Even though you're paying for the fucking thing.
Exactly.
So Christopher Dring, he's a well-known journalist, gaming journalist. He heads up thegamebusiness.com. He has an opinion piece today, and he agrees with you, Matt. Xbox never did recover from the 2013 Xbox One launch when it lost ground to PlayStation, and has continued to do so ever since. What I want to read you, he says, the Xbox project has failed, and as a result, Xbox is now a third-party publisher. One with the console and a subscription service, but a third-party publisher all the same. It is committed to hardware, but its partnership with Asus on the Xbox handheld and the news of a Windows-focused future for its platform suggests a different commitment to the one we've been used to. Last thing, this is a person who's in PR and Renaissance PR. She was a little expensive today, and I think she's in her statement here. She's talking about the Xbox, like you said, everything's an Xbox. I think that the opening statement here, she says, going to do one of the most cringe ad campaigns in recent history, meaning this is an Xbox, and debuting the most expensive handheld collaboration to an audience experiencing a recession, which obviously got panned. He's trying to say the Xbox, the Asus ROG Ally X was panned. And rather than take that on the chin, you dump 9,000 more people into unemployment. Masterful gambit, Microsoft. The people aren't happy. People were speculating about Phil and does he need to go? That was certainly the question from Al that he sent us. I think Phil, a long time ago, said that he has no intentions to keep this job forever. At some point, like he took over for Don Matrix, someone's going to have to take over from him. I think personally, the rumors that they shot down today that he's leaving after the next hardware cycle is true. I think those are true rumors. I think by the time 2028 circles around, that's like 3 years from now, he's going to have enough, and he'll leave, and he'll hand it off to Sarah Bond, or if someone else comes in that they feel is more worthy. But he's made his bones. He's made his cash. He's probably our age or a little bit older. I think he steps away in 3 to 4 years for sure. Does he need to go now? I personally like Phil, partly because he's into punk rock, and I'm sure if I had met him at a bar, we would talk very little gaming and talk a hell of a lot about punk rock. I do think at times he's in over his head, but I think he's in over his head because I think the people above him expect so much, and they want them to use the AI, the co-pilot, and they want to run their business that way. And I think that probably butts heads against a lot what Phil has to do. But Phil says many times, my responsibility is to lead a profitable business. So he's a yes man at this point.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's making investors happy, right? Until the investors are saying otherwise, he's not going anywhere. Unless he chooses on his own, right? Like you said, And I think, to Al's point about, the ROG Xbox, the ROG Ally Xbox, whatever, I think they are trying to rush something out. They're trying to jump in on this handheld gaming thing, right? With Steam Deck and the Ally and that. I think they're trying to jump into something, trying to get the pie as it's hot type of thing, So,
what is your feeling, Matt, on the next Xbox comes out, that there could be many different flavors of it? Meaning you can get the first-party Xbox, you can get the Asus Xbox, you could get the, whatever, Dell Xbox, Lenovo Xbox. What is your thoughts on
I think it's I think it's possible with this OS that I think maybe this OS is maybe like a trial type of thing with the Ally, to see. But I think definitely the next console is going to be more of a PC type of thing than a console. Oh, it's going to be some type of computer PC. I'm sorry, a computer console hybrid type thing.
Boy, if they stick the landing with that could be a real game changer. But it could also go fucking sideways really fucking quick too.
I think that's why they're putting this OS thing out to try and test the waters and see how.
You're not going to do it. You're not willing to put your little fucking dinghy in the water. You said, I already got this set up. I got one monitor and I got two monitors. I'm good to go.
No. You're talking about. I guess the OS, whatever that software, from Ally, But yes, you're correct. I did say that. Yeah. I mean, I've already got this set up here, or my shortcuts here. But I think that's what they're experimenting with, is like on the Ally or something like that. On a handheld, definitely it would be probably easier to, some type of thing like that. I mean, being a Steam Big Picture or something like that, right? So.
Another thing I want to talk about, this is tough to quantify, tough to answer, but you are very, very lucky where your company hasn't had layoffs. You have a no layoff policy.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft has had we just reported 4 layoffs. You know what that does for morale when you have rolling layoffs?
Oh, that's not good at all.
People are on edge. People are terse with each other because they feel that they got to outdo someone else, because otherwise, if they don't keep up with the Joneses, they could be on the way out. It is not a good working environment. And so all of a sudden, we have to sweep this under the rug and say, well, the people left there are doing the best they can do because, yay, Microsoft, and they want to give you the best product. I think, it's not something you can put your fingers on and figure out and quantify. That's just something that's going to happen over time. But I wonder if the morale has been kicked so poorly there that the work is going to suffer at some time.
Absolutely. I think so. I mean, because you're at a point like, okay, why am I working hard, or why am I trying to do my best quality work for a game or something, or anything Microsoft has that might just get canned at any minute, or I'm going to get laid off in any minute? Where's my goal? Where's my carrot in front of me?
Where's my incentive? What's the incentive?
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's something neither one of us are in a position to answer, but it's something we have jobs, we worked. I've worked, many jobs where people have been laid off, and you wonder when it's your turn is coming up at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I think out of all the layoffs, the Forza one really hits me because Turn 10 has such a stellar reputation. And so if I'm another developer and I go, wow, these guys, if you look at on Metacritic, they have nothing but 9s and 10s and are universally praised for their games, and they got gutted. And then what the hell are we going to do to keep afloat?
Mm-hmm. Right.
We'd like to keep it about the games, but we felt that this was a bigger news story. Takes precedence. So I look forward to subsequent episodes where we just get back to talking about games, but it is all sort of builds into this sort of handheld environment we're working towards here. It feels like what's going on at Microsoft. Like you said, are they chasing something here? And they're just not selling enough of the consoles, and the Game Pass is flattened, and they needed to get rid of people. I feel that's a little too simplistic. There's got to be other things going on there, but I hope you have a good time at the farm, Matt, checking out your ROG Ally X. So the next time we reconvene, we'll hear all about the device and what you're looking forward to, what you feel its strengths and weaknesses are, and what you think the ROG XBox, or I should say the Xbox OS, can do to improve your Ally X experience.
It's definitely heavier than my other Ally. It's heavier.
You mentioned to me that they're not the same footprint because you brought some sort of the existing, what would you call it, a case, protective case is
shell, the clamshell thing. Yeah,
did not fit on the was not transferable from the Ally to the Ally X.
Correct.
And you're not as satisfied with the clamshell that you bought.
Yeah, the one I had was a hard plastic clamshell on the old one. You know, it snapped together and it covered the whole thing except for the screen. Okay, I had a screen protector, but covered the whole thing, right? And on the new one, I bought one of them gel type. You know what I'm talking about? A soft gel type thing. You know,
foamy lizard.
Yes, sir. And put it around it, but it only covers the grips. The whole front of it is not covered. You know,
I'm just like everything else in life. I'm just raw dogging it over here.
Yeah.
I mean, I only got 3 kids.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I like my Steam Deck. I only have a screen cover on that. I don't have a case or anything.
Just totally fucking. Raw dogging it all, man.
No, I gotta have a screen. I gotta have a screen protector at least.
What are you doing with these? What are you doing with these things?
No, I'm just playing. I'm just, but accidents happen, man.
No, accidents happen. Spell accidents. It's a 4-letter word. You know what I'm saying? I just saw it. It was hanging out behind you.
Oh, come on, man.
Come on. Coming from the guy that shot virtual monkeys last night, and I throw his cats under the bus, and he gets all, come on, man.
Oh, shit. Yes.
All right. Well, thanks to Al for writing in. I'm not sure if we answered his whole question, but
probably not.
Probably not. I think Phil is okay. I think, like I said, I think Setea and Nadal are above him, and all this other bullshit probably makes his life miserable. I'm sure if you got him privately with a few beers in him, man, I just want to put out games in the best console I can. I want to let people create and flourish, but I'm being told what to do, and I got to get rid of these people, so that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
All right, well, we will see each other again in 2 weeks' time, unless we reconvene on Sunday to have a special Nintendo Switch 2 podcast. Otherwise, it has been a great chatting with you, and we will talk to you all later.
Bye.
Fruitcake is the nastiest shit, isn't it?